Hey guys, Chris here, and I'm a Ukrainian Canadian. Today is January 17th, 2023, and let's get to the news happening in Ukraine, shall we? Before I begin, I just wanted to share with you guys a thought that I had. I was thinking of doing a live stream for the very first time, and let me know if you're interested in me making a live stream, perhaps in next week, Monday or Tuesday. If you're interested, please let me know in the comment section for like a free open Q&A session, whatever questions you might have, or comments. It'd be really cool, I think, to interact with you guys in a different way rather than just doing videos like this. So let me know. So first things first is the situation in Bakhmut, more specifically in Soledar. So officially, the Russians did take control of the city of Soledar, and the Ukrainians have retreated back to the higher ground here around Blahodatne and the highway that is leading into Krasnogora and into Bakhmut, the northern part of the city of Bakhmut. So this was expected. I did mention in my previous videos that this is what I would think the Ukrainians would do. Um, and so for the Russians, this seems like a massive victory. However, let's not forget that Soledar, I made a mistake in my previous video saying that pre-war had a population of 20 to 30,000 people. Actually, it was 10,000. So it's a very, very small city. And for the Russians, this seems like a victory in Berlin type of thing. But in reality, I don't think they gain much here. Of course, the only bad thing from this situation is obviously the fact that the Russians are putting more pressure on the north of Bakhmut. This is one of the roads that could have been used by the Ukrainian forces to really strengthen northern Bakhmut and also resupply the soldiers north of the city of Bakhmut and all the settlements outside of Bakhmut, which puts them in a much more precarious position here. I've also heard reports that it's unconfirmed that potentially the Ukrainians are starting a counteroffensive to take back part of Soledar. We'll have to see, but unless we have visual confirmation, we can take it with a grain of salt. So unfortunately, the situation is not really good in Soledar, but the Ukrainians are still holding higher ground here. So let's hope that they can clear up a lot of the Wagners that are stationed in the city of Soledar, which we have been seeing a lot of videos of the Ukrainians hitting Wagner soldiers within the city of Soledar with HIMARS systems and artillery. So let's hope that that continues on. And the other thing in Bakhmut is that south of Bakhmut, around the area of Klishivka, the Russians are really trying to push here. And why are they trying to do this? Because they don't want to get into the main highway that leads into Bakhmut. This is the main highway that the Ukrainian forces are using to resupply their soldiers here in Bakhmut. So for the Russians, they see an opportunity to really push through this main road here and really cut off the supply road of the Ukrainian forces. So I think it's really critical that the Ukrainians stop them here and push back to kind of the lower ground here around Klishivka. So I'll keep you guys updated about this situation here. For Kremina and Svatove, things are pretty much the same. There's always ongoing reports that the Ukrainians are almost in Kremina. We need visual confirmation, which I haven't been seeing yet. But you can see how many, according to Deep State, how many Russian fortified defenses there are in Kremina, between Svatov and Kremina. So they really put a lot of soldiers here to defend Kremina because they know that if this falls, they're in very big trouble as the Ukrainians can start really pushing and encircling the Russians from behind in Severodonetsk, Lysychansk, and maybe collapse part of the northern front here that is occupied by the Russians. So I'll keep you guys also updated on this situation. Let's hope that there's more positive news coming out for the Ukrainian forces. And the last thing is the Russians are continuing their push around Donetsk city, around Avdiivka, Pervomaiske. And again, as you can see here, this is the pre-February 2022 lines. So the Russians barely pushed for the last 11 months. This is about 4.5 kilometers. If we measure this from Piske, the Russians barely pushed, yeah, 4.5 kilometers. So you can see how terrible their performance here is. Because why? That's because the Ukrainian defenses are the strongest here. This is where it's been the most active since 2014. So the defense of the Ukrainian forces here are some of the best, right? And they have a lot of good soldiers with a lot of experience here. So it's really difficult for the Russians to really push the Ukrainians out of Donetsk city. So that's it for the map. Now, let's get into the second slide, which is basically confirmation of the Russian Defense Ministry wants to expand its army to 1.5 million troops by 2026, so within 3 years. I think it's pretty realistic for the Russians. If they were to say for this year, I would laugh at that because it took him 3 months, and this is according to the Russian military, but it took him over 3 months to mobilize 300,000 soldiers. And we saw how atrocious that mobilization was, where they were asking the soldiers to procure themselves by themselves all the gear pretty much. They were just getting a basic uniform and that's it. So Russia, can expand as much as they want, but the question that I'm asking myself is, what are they going to come into Ukraine with, by 2026 if Russia is still going to exist as the country we know today? Are they going to come in brand new T-90s, BTR 82As, their brand new Sukhoi jet fighters? I seriously doubt that. They're going to come in buses, old Soviet buses, in old BMP 1s from the 1960s and old T-62 tanks. That's more realistic, in my opinion. So you can expand your army as much as you want, but if you don't have quality within that army, they're going to perform as poorly as any other army in the world that doesn't have proper equipment. And this is why it's very crucial for Ukraine to keep getting NATO equipment. Ukraine is very dependent, it's completely dependent on NATO, the United States, on its Western partners to resupply themselves with ammunition and good high technology weaponry. And this has really been a game changer for the Ukrainian forces. You look at how the Ukrainians have been effectively defending and doing offensives with the little things that they got, right? HIMARS systems, we can count them by the dozen, but there's not a lot of them. And the Ukrainians have managed to really utilize every single thing that was given to them with its to the fullest potential. So it's really important that Ukraine gets really good quality, high tech weaponry because that is much better than quantity that the Russian Defense Ministry is betting on right now. Their doctrine has never changed since the Soviet Union. It's always been quantity over quality. You just have to look at all the Soviet weapons, which are substandard to NATO weapons. Now, this is controversial, but a freelance presidential advisor, Arestovich, resigns after he made some false claims about the Dnipro missile attack. So, if you guys don't remember or haven't heard about it, he is a freelance advisor, so he's not really officially within working for the Ukraine government. But Arestovich kind of has a reputation of just being this daily he makes daily reports in Ukraine about what's the ongoing situation with Fagin, and you can see him on YouTube as well. Anyways, so he's a very important person, important Ukraine figure because everybody associates him with truth. But here he jumped too quickly to the conclusion that the Dnipro apartment building attack was actually the Ukraine anti-air defense system, which detonated and caused the building to collapse, which obviously was false because now there's a video confirmation that it was indeed a Kh-22 missile that hit it. There's an actual video that came out. And so he officially resigned. And this guy should have known better. I mean, the Kremlin instantly picked up after he said that, saying, look, it's the Ukrainians that are killing their own people, right? Like this guy should have known better. And I think it's the proper, it was the right thing to do on his side. But maybe it's also a political move for Arestovich because potentially he's probably considering running for president because the presidential elections are going to be in 2024 in Ukraine. We'll have to see how that's going to go because who knows, maybe the war's still going to be ongoing and maybe he just decided that he wants to move out of Zelensky's side and just create his own party. So we'll have to see. But either way, he should have known better. You can't just make conclusions too quickly, especially for a person that is so close to Zelensky. So that's interesting to say the least. And the other person that resigned was in Germany, and that was the German Defense Minister Christine Lambrecht, who resigned, I believe, yesterday as well. So This is interesting, but it was the right thing to do for her. I looked at a summary of her, of her turbulent times as a Minister of Defense, and I also looked at her background. This is a lawyer and an academic. She has zero experience in the military. She has no knowledge about anything in the military. There was actually a video that showcased her trying to explain how the Gepards work, and she was trying to explain that the Gepards essentially they protect civilian targets by shooting ammunition with tubes. It's just ridiculous. So I think it was the proper move for her to resign. And she didn't seem like she really wanted that position in the first place. I really believe that if you put people in positions of power, you need to put competent people that have at least some sort of background in the position that they have taken. She's a lawyer by in her background. What is she like? What is her purpose in the Ministry of Defense? What is she like, it's okay. Maybe you don't even need to have military experience, but at least you need to show a willingness to learn the ropes and willingness to really commit to the job that you've been given. And she hasn't really shown that. So it was a good move, but it was probably just because of the pressure that she was getting that nobody had confidence in her anymore. So hopefully the next replacement is going to be somebody that's actually going to do much better and is going to be supporting Ukraine because if you guys remember, she was the first one to say, "Oh, we've sent 5,000 helmets to Ukraine at the beginning of the war." Just really like terrible support in the beginning, and because of the public pressure, Germany eventually started really giving much more help. And actually, Germany, as much as we criticize them, they have given a lot of help to Ukraine. Let's not forget that the German help is invaluable. Ukrainians got the RST system, albeit it's just one, the Gepards, the Panzerhaubitze 2000, a bunch of great ammunition, weapons from the Germans, medical aid. So I don't want to downplay the German help because it's been one of the biggest help that Ukraine got. But I think that Germany can do better in terms of its decision-making process and its and really being firm in its decisions, right? Still to this day, they're very like the German parliament is very like they can't pick a side, right? They try to help Ukraine, but they try not to escalate the situation. And to me, I think that it needs to be clear now, after almost a year, that Germany needs to start helping Ukraine to its fullest potential. They can do much better, but still, huge thank you to German people and to Germany because without their help, Ukraine would be in a much worse position. That's 100%. So that's it, guys. It was a quick update on the front lines about the news that are ongoing today. Let me know if you're interested in me doing a live stream potentially next week, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.